One minute you're a cornerstone, a high-priced asset of veteran presence, and the next, the rumor mill is churning your name to the trade machine like a forgotten piece of equipment. Is there any loyalty left in professional hockey? Or has the business side of the game become so ruthless that even a Stanley Cup contender's top defenseman can't escape the relentless whispers of a potential move? It's a question that cuts to the core of what it means to be a professional athlete in today's NHL, where the lines between talent, loyalty, and financial strategy are blurrier than ever. Welcome to the Rumor Roundup, where we peel back the layers of speculation and dive deep into the strategic chess match that is the National Hockey League. Today, we're not just talking about players. We're talking about assets, cap hits, and the cold, hard reality that even the most impactful stars can find themselves on the trading block. From a veteran blue liner in New Jersey to a gritty center in Toronto and a promising young goaltender in Washington, the winds of change are blowing and no one, it seems, is truly safe. Let's kick things off in the Garden State, where the New Jersey Devils are navigating a fascinating, almost contradictory situation with their defensive core. On one hand, the future is bright, shimmering with the promise of Luke Hughes, the dynamic young blue liner who is widely expected in a long-term deal, solidify his status as the team's future number one defenseman. His offensive prowess, his skating, his vision, it's all there, a tantalizing glimpse into what's to come. But this exciting development, this commitment to a burgeoning star, has inadvertently cast a long shadow over another key piece of the Devils' puzzle, veteran defenseman Dougie Hamilton. Hamilton, a player with a proven track record, a booming shot, and a significant $9 million cap hit, suddenly finds himself at the center of a swirling vortex of trade speculation. Pundits like the ever-insightful Pierre LeBrun of TSN have begun to openly question the necessity of having how many power play quarterbacks on a single roster in the modern NHL. With Hughes poised to take the reins as the primary offensive defenseman, Hamilton's role, and indeed his very future with the club, has become a hot topic of debate. It's a classic case of a team's evolving identity potentially clashing with its existing roster construction. Now, to his credit, Hamilton himself has addressed these rumors with a veteran's calm and a professional's understanding. Speaking to Ryan Novozinski of NJ.com, the 32-year-old defenseman acknowledged that he's heard the trade whispers, but he's choosing to tune out the noise. Trades happen, he conceded, with the kind of stoicism that only comes from years in the league. It's part of the business of hockey. Yet, beneath that pragmatic acceptance lies a clear desire. Hamilton wants to remain a Devil. He genuinely believes he can be an integral part of a team that ultimately lifts the Stanley Cup. That kind of commitment, that belief in the project, is invaluable. But in today's NHL, belief and desire often take a back seat to the cold, hard numbers. The trade conjecture surrounding Hamilton isn't just about his role. It's heavily intertwined with his contract. Moving Hamilton would undoubtedly free up a substantial $9 million in cap space, allowing the Devils to address other pressing roster needs, perhaps a top six forward or shoring up other defensive gaps. The salary cap, while rising significantly, still demands meticulous management, and a $9 million cap hit for a player whose role might be diminishing is a luxury few teams can afford. However, that very cap hit, the one that makes him a target for trade, also makes him incredibly difficult to move. Finding a team willing and able to absorb such a large salary, especially for a player who also possesses a no-trade clause, is a monumental challenge. Puckpedia indicates Hamilton has a list of 10 teams he'd accept a deal to, a clause that drastically shrinks the pool of potential trade partners. It's a classic catch-22, a valuable player, but one whose value is almost outweighed by the financial gymnastics required to acquire him. The Devils are in a tough spot, balancing the desire to keep a veteran leader with a strategic imperative to optimize their cap space and roster construction for long-term success. Shifting our focus north to the hockey mecca of Toronto, the Maple Leafs are also grappling with their own roster conundrums, particularly in the forward ranks. Just last week, we discussed the possibility of Nick Robertson becoming a trade candidate, a young player with offensive upside but struggling to find a consistent role. Now, we can add another name to that category, David Kampf. The 30-year-old center, a reliable defensive presence and penalty-killing specialist, reportedly believed he would be traded during the offseason, according to Jonas Siegel, The Athletic. While that move never materialized, his future in Toronto remains shrouded in uncertainty. The writing, it seems, is on the wall. Scott Lawton has stepped into the role of the Leafs' fourth-line center, a clear indication of a shift in the team's depth chart. Furthermore, the club is keen to make room for promising right-winger Easton Cowan, a prospect whose offensive potential is too great to keep bottled up in the minors for long. This youth movement, this push to integrate younger, faster, and potentially cheaper talent, often comes at the expense of established veterans. Kampf's contract, with an average annual value of $2.4 million through next season, further complicates matters. While not as prohibitive as Hamilton's, it's still a number that teams must consider carefully, especially when looking to add depth. Siegel even suggests the possibility of Kampf being demoted to the AHL Marlies. If he clears waivers, a stark reminder of the brutal realities of the business side of hockey, where even a dependable veteran can find himself on the outside looking in. It's a tough pill to swallow for any player, but it's a scenario that plays out across the league every single season as teams constantly reevaluate their assets and look for marginal gains. Finally, let's turn our attention to the nation's capital, where the Washington Capitals are facing a different kind of roster dilemma, this time between the pipes. Goaltending, often the most unpredictable position in hockey, is creating a fascinating situation for the Caps. ESPN's Kevin Weeks recently reported that Clay Stevenson, a young netminder who was impressed with his solid preseason play, has garnered significant interest from several teams around the league. These rival clubs see Stevenson not just as a prospect, but as a potential future waiver claim, a diamond in the rough waiting to be plucked. The problem for Washington is a good one, but a problem nonetheless. Their goaltending tandem of Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren is locked in. They are the undisputed 1-2 punch, leaving Stevenson as the odd man out in the NHL picture. Sammy Silber of the Hockey News reports that Stevenson was projected to be the #1 goalie for the Capitals' AHL affiliate in Hershey this season, a role that speaks volumes about his talent and potential. However, with Thompson and Lindgren firmly entrenched, Silber believes Stevenson is all but certain to go on waivers, whereas Weeks suggested a rival club will likely swoop in and claim him. This presents the Capitals with a difficult choice. Lose a promising young goaltender for absolutely nothing, or try to extract some value from him on the trade market. It's a classic asset management decision, one that every general manager faces. Do you hold on to a player you can't use at the NHL level, risking losing him for free, or do you proactively seek a trade to recoup some draft capital or another asset that can help your team immediately? The smart money is on the latter, as the Capitals will undoubtedly explore all options to avoid a complete loss. So, what have we learned from this whirlwind tour of the NHL's rumor mill? Firstly, the business of hockey is as relentless as ever. No player, regardless of contract or past performance, is truly immune to trade speculation when cap space and roster optimization come into play. Secondly, the emergence of young talent, while exciting, often creates difficult decisions for established veterans, forcing teams to make tough choices about who fits into their long-term vision. And finally, effective asset management, whether it's navigating a complex no-trade clause or deciding whether to trade a promising prospect before losing him for nothing, is paramount to building a sustainable contender. The game on the ice is thrilling, but the game off the ice, the one played with contracts, cap hits, and trade clauses, is just as intense and often far more unforgiving. What do you make of these situations? Do you think the Devils will find a way to move Hamilton, or will he stay and fight for his role? Should the Leafs try harder to find a trade partner for Kampf, or is a waiver demotion inevitable? And for the Capitals, is trading Stevenson the only logical move? Share your insights and predictions in the comments below. We love hearing your take on these high-stakes decisions. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the NHL's rumor landscape, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more exclusive reports.